here we go. All right, now let me now share my presentation. Okay, here we go. Okay, so awakening, spiritual awakening. Oh gosh, I call this a masterclass, and it really is. 13 years of building business and going through the proverbial dark tunnel to nowhere. Started my business bushy-tailed, ready to go. Let's move forward, doing things from the action-oriented standpoint of we're gonna make this happen. Became aware not too long after I started my business that I'm here to teach the law of attraction, found Abraham Hicks and realized, okay, I need to allow it to happen. And so the dimensions, though, that the different perspectives, the different dimensions, these different words really show that there's all these different perspectives, right? And so what this class really is about is bringing it together and simplifying it. So spiritual awakening in particular feels like, talk about the proverbial dark tunnel, right? Feels like that because there isn't a lot of clarity in the way that we're here to navigate it, right? And that's why it gets so scary. Our minds actually, right, that just do it orientation is so prevalent because that's more comfortable. But yeah, when you're a conscious coach, conscious business owner, you want it to be easy. You want things to show up. You want to attract, right? And that's when we get into that push and pull. We get into that, okay, I'm just gonna be present. And it's like, well, the mind struggles with that. What does that mean? Okay. And so it's very understandable, right? That we get into this place of, and if you're like me, I always call them dark nights of the soul. I always call them knockdown, drag out fights with God, whatever you want to call it, God, universe, source. It's not really about what you call it. It is about having this higher power and then getting in that place of wanting to allow, but it's not coming. And that's a really challenging place to be. Okay, so let's dive in on what do we do in that place? And right, because we want to build that business and life that we love. That's the whole reason that we get there. We have this actually this higher vision. If you don't have a vision, that's really important. The vision of the business and life that we would love, and it's not manifesting. Okay, and we want it. We want it. We want it. Okay, so conscious business development. I threw this picture in here because I'm like, yeah, I remember those days going, okay. Oh, by the way, a strategic planner for the government, but FBI, believe it or not, did strategic planning for a long time. So I'm like, okay, this logic, put the plan together, then take action on the plan. And early in my business, somebody said, talk to people, doing everything that they tell you to do and drawing up empty. And I'm thinking, again, it's supposed to be easy. So why isn't it easy? Okay. So we're really reinventing, right? And it reminds me of Dr. Wayne Dyer's movie, The Shift, right? From ambition to meaning, right? And really making a life of meaning. And it's like, we're not necessarily trained to do that, right? Okay. So we're taking the blueprint of what we think we know, and we're completely changing it. In some ways, even flipping it on its head. Okay. So this is when we're building consciousness and building a conscious business, this is actually more of what it feels like, right? And not to say that it's not true for people that aren't necessarily focused on higher consciousness businesses. It's just, it even deepens it, right? Well, there you go. So as conscious coaches, we know that the people we attract are the people that are like us. And so the deeper we go in our own healing and transformational work, the more we meet people that are ready for what we know, right? We have to know it. The gap, right, between I want this and I know this, right, is a gap. I want to be a conscious coach, or I want to be a law of attraction teacher. I want to be a Reiki master. I want to be a conscious parent coach, or whatever it may be. And we don't really know it yet, right? Awareness, conscious awareness, right? And so we go up and we go down, and crisis, and we go, oh, made it through that one. And there's just this always, the mind really struggles with the consciousness piece, right? And so there's this real challenge that, and that's not even good enough. I mean, dark nights of the soul are, and I always said, for me, and I didn't even know if I was going to survive, much less thrive. Okay, that's truly what a dark night of the soul is. Okay. All right. So what do we do then? So I love this quote. If it's my quote, it's something I've been saying for quite a long time now. Because I realized that whatever's happening is your path, right? So I say your purpose is your path is your purpose. So no accidents, right? So because, okay, law of attraction. If law of attraction is real, and it is, then therefore whatever we're attracting has got to be serving your purpose. Okay. In fact, oh, this is a good one. I teach a class, or the core of my work is about finding your divine message. And I really struggled with this, right? Going out, putting out blogs, doing the writing, talking to people, networking, marketing, doing all the things that everybody told me I should do, and falling flat on my face. Maybe a few clients, but certainly not enough, right? And what it was really about is becoming in alignment, we were using that alignment. Jen was using that word, right? Aligned client. Me aligning with the right clients. They were always there, but was I aligned to them? And so that's a great question for you to ask. And again, great description, Jen, because that is really it. Because when we align, there it is, right? Your purpose is your path is your purpose, which means what you're doing now is not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just really having, there's a key word. And Abraham Hicks, if you're familiar with the Abraham work, the highest scale of emotional intelligence is understanding. It's not that you are doing anything wrong. You just don't understand why what's happening is happening and what to do differently. And ultimately who to be, right, to manifest what you want. So I love this image. Consciousness is what we need to move the goal, right? And that gets into actually the question you had, Evan, about holding the space, right? Because if we're there doing our work, we can really truly say it's all good, right? So because whatever you're attracting is there to help you to learn to hold space. Because and setting that intention is huge. And so there's this accepting of what's there to find the gift of what's there, right? And really moving the energy. So even just that piece alone can really change your perspective on what's happening and what you're doing, what you're allowing and what you're doing, right? Because it's not just doing, it's who you're being in that moment. Okay, so these 4 stages of spiritual awakening, I've built this around what I had learned from my mentor, Mary Morrissey, 10, 15 years ago. So what we want to look at is in the early stages when we're asleep, there's fear. We're ruled by fear, right? And then as we build trust being the assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something, right? Building trust. And I just want you to even think, trust yourself. I was told that early in my business, well, you just need to trust yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that? That's sitting in fear, not really knowing that it's fear even, but really being at the bottom of the path of awakening, going, don't know what to do. Okay. So, and as we build the trust within ourselves, trusting ourselves and knowing how to do that, then we become more and more leaning toward the faith in ourselves, the belief in ourselves. I can do this. I am doing this. I am the woman who, I am the man who is doing this, right? Okay, so as we look at the 4 stages then, stage number 1 is truly the victim stage. And we all have been there, and we all, in fact, this is a sliding scale. Sometimes we're on and we have this great faith. And by the way, faith and belief is also confidence, right? Those clients that are aligned want to see you be confident in your abilities and what you're selling and what you're teaching. Confidence is the faith and belief, that is the hidden element that I don't know I was missing. I was going to the networking, I was doing the marketing, I was putting myself out there, writing and speaking to sometimes nobody. What was missing was the self-confidence, right? So you really want to look at how much confidence you have. And as you're looking at these 4 stages, we do a real assessment of where am I? Okay, because this poor me is an outside-in orientation. And you're right, we recognize it. This is happening to me. Look what's happening. Look what they did. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe they did it. And it's all, and by the way, this is a projection field. I'm projecting, I'm upset, they did it, right? And that we can never be empowered. We can never be awakened when we are coming from that perspective. And what it looks like when we are a business owner and you're putting yourself out there to build a business and to market and network and all of that, it looks like this, where here you are, this image of standing in the world and ships in the night. There very well could be an ideal client right around you. Most likely there are ideal clients all around you. Yet that, for me, this is happening to me, is literally like ships passing in the night. Again, we've all been there, and it's a sliding scale. Sometimes we're feeling the victim, and we just feel it. By the way, I'll get into why we feel it. So again, it's something we need to understand to know why we get there and to not judge it, be really truly loving ourselves through this process. Oh gosh, when we can love ourselves through this process, it changes everything, right? Okay, so the poor me stage, passing in the night, everything's happening to me. I feel, this is an image, I feel alone, I feel isolated. Okay. The second stage, and this is most likely where you've spent a lot of time. I know I did. I used to get so frustrated. Okay, so my thoughts create my reality. So here's my vision, a beautiful blueprint of the business and life that I would love. It's been pretty clear, but things weren't manifesting. Okay, what am I missing? What am I not doing? Okay, so this stage, this by me stage, thoughts create reality. It's great for manifesting parking spaces and maybe even some money. It's not so great in manifesting the ideal clients. Okay, and remember, it also depends on the type of business that you're doing. Selling a chewing gum, selling, direct sales when you're selling somebody else's product, probably going to work for that. But when you're building, and each of you here are here, I believe, because you're building something that has never been done before. You're here to what I call discover your unique brilliance. So if we look at Steve Jobs, Sam Walton, the people that have really changed, maybe, I don't know, you fill in the blank, the people that are the visionaries that have cast a vision, right? Edison, right? The telephone, people that Wright brothers casting a vision and then being able to be in alignment to manifest that vision, right? They do more than just think the thought, they're doing something more. And that's why I call this basic manifestation. It's happening. I'm going to think a thought and it's going to manifest. And I do that all the time. We do that all the time with the parking spaces. Clients messaging, being who we're here to be, they are our authentic divine messengers that we're here to be, whole nother level. And what this stage looks like Oh, okay. So this was me, right? Waiting for something to manifest. It's been 84 years. Oh my God, will this ever happen? And so it drove, and what that does, by the way, and we are really in the time of awakening. It's time for us to humanity, right? To move out of the poor me, even the basic manifestation of by me, and move into a more awakened awareness, right? So this is a fun stage, but there's so much more, right? The third stage is really where the bulk of the work is for conscious business owners and conscious coaches, moving with and through me, right? And that means that I become something different, right, than what I've been up until now. This is the transformational process that we have all heard about, when the the caterpillar becomes the beautiful butterfly. That black box, that dark tunnel of transformation, is why you're here, right? That's why spiritual awakening is something that, again, most of us are like, "Oh, it's so daunting. Why? I don't know. How do I, and it's a whole new way of being, right? And I've described it here as healing the emotional subconscious mind, right? And so I have this beautiful image of this beautiful island, the surface water, right? So stage one is you're on the surface and you're looking to everybody else, right? And thinking, okay, why can't he love me? Or why can't she do this? Or why can't they change? Why didn't my dad do this, or my mom? And all that emotional healing. Evan mentioned that earlier, the emotional healing of the wound, right? That's the work. In fact, I call it healing the core wound of identity. Who am I? Right? We've seen this in one movie after another. The true storyline of just about every movie is, who am I? It's the core story of you. Who am I? Right? But we can only do that by healing the emotional subconscious mind. And we got to go beneath the surface and go in here, right? Into the depths. That's why most likely small talk isn't your thing. You prefer to have deep conversations, right? Because you're here to go into that subconscious place and right? So if you're a conscious coach, then what that means is you've healed, done deep inner unconscious healing. And so you're maybe not doing it perfectly, but you have done personal growth and development work to realize what has been in that subconscious that no longer serves you, and that you've healed it and transformed it. Okay. That's stage three. Okay. And so all three of these first three stages are demonstrated here. And I wanted to put this on one slide because it's really powerful to realize. The first stage, right? Ships in the night. What we want just isn't coming, right? And I, again, lots of knockdown, drag out fights of going, okay, I don't feel loved. I don't feel seen, heard, and understood. Nobody gets me. I'm alone. All of that. I lived in that stage for a long, long time. And it all serves a purpose. Because the next thing, once we start to really get into, okay, well, my thoughts create my reality. So this image over here with the woman looking in the mirror and seeing her father. What you want to look at is, okay, if what I want is not manifesting, then ask yourself, what is the story or the experience that keeps coming up in your consciousness, right? It keeps coming up. So for me, I would go to these networking events and I would go home bawling my eyes out, crying. And well, the story that kept coming up, or the experience that I had that kept coming up, is with my father's. He never said, I love you. He was a great provider, very kind, salt of the earth, but there was a lot of silence. I felt alone as far as whether I had, didn't have much self-value, self-worth, right? Because we look to, as children, our fathers, our mothers. For me, it was mostly my father. And actually, there was a lot of silence with my mom as well because she had a mental illness. But really, the story that kept triggering over again, and I would get really emotional about, was my dad. And this, he didn't love me, right? I'm not worthy of being loved, right? And so that kind of subconscious stuff kept getting triggered. There's a great coaching phrase, statement that says, wherever you go, there you are. And so wherever I went, government job, they don't see, hear, and understand me. I'm not lovable. Go to networking, build a business. It just kept deepening that like a thorn, right? It just kept going deeper, deeper, deeper in, and just hurt so, so bad. And then the third stage, right? Because in the victim stage, this is happening. In the basic manifestation stage, you start to become aware that there's an experience that really hurt, that you probably, up here in stage 1, you're not paying attention to. Stage 2, it's like, oh, that's painful. And depending on how much work you've done, you may or may not be aware of this experience. Okay. For those of us that have doing the deeper healing work, then that is absolutely something that you're aware of. The third stage, where we're going in to heal the emotional mind, and we're going in to do that reprogramming of the subconscious. A lot of the teachers, spiritual teachers out there, law of attraction teachers out there will have you, well, this is what you're thinking, think the thought. For me, that never worked. Well, again, it manifested some things, but I kept being pushed deeper into this third place where we do inner child healing work. So this image to me is so poignant, of a little girl who's looking into a broken mirror, right? And there isn't very many people that can't say that probably hasn't said, or maybe ingrained in them, that says that there's something wrong with me. I'm fundamentally flawed. Can't do anything about it. This is just, it's just, I'm just human, and this is a pain, and this is a flaw, and I'll never be able to heal it. Well, that's a perspective that comes from stage 1 and stage 2. In stage 3, the perspective is, it's not about that. It's about loving, hearing, listening, and truly loving your inner child and helping her to feel at peace. And I betting you've seen that, and I haven't found it. I know I've seen it years ago. The quote that said, when your inner child is at peace, or no, it talks about the ego. When the ego is at peace, truly you're awakened. And so what that really is talking about is this image of the inner child. So just close your eyes right now and imagine that broken mirror. Imagine that it's like the image of it gelling back together, the wholeness of the mirror. When we talk about the core wound of identity, it's healing that wound. Because the truth, this is the truth, the reason we feel broken is that we keep looking to other people. In stage 1 and stage 2, we're looking to other people. Here in stage 3, we're finally looking to ourselves for everything we need. It's self-healing and self-reliance. And that absolutely is profound and changes everything. Okay. All right. So that's the hidden mirror. Okay. So going a little bit deeper with the inner child has unconscious needs that repel what you want, right? You have these unconscious needs and you're not even aware of it, right? And I'll give you an example real quickly here. The need to be perfect, right? What happens when we're children is we need to be perfect. We have this need to be perfect, again, for mom and dad, for the teachers, for somebody else. Not taught that we are perfect because we love and acknowledge and see and hear and understand ourselves. Again, that's why it shifts and changes everything. I love me. I am me. And it's so much more than just saying that. And so a great analogy here. Imagine if you were to walk down the street this afternoon and find the first handsome or good looking stranger that you find, and you say, "Hey, I just think you're adorable. Can we get married?" um, Saying, even affirmation, that repeating, looking in the mirror, which is positive, but it only can go so far. To look in the mirror and say, "I love you," right? It's more, let me know you, right? Let me see, hear, and understand you, right? So going back to the good looking, handsome stranger, or whoever it may be that you're walking down the street and you're saying, "Oh, I'd love to marry you." Um, there's no relationship, right? That's the key to unlocking the door to everything you want. You have to create a relationship with you and you. It's a relationship just like any other relationship, right? If you're going to get married to someone, you want a really solid, strong relationship where you know each other. You know each other's needs and you meet each other's needs. So instead of, there's another person that's going to meet my needs, it's, how can I meet the needs of my inner child? Because this note here, the pain you're experiencing, without it, the hidden part of you, these are all hidden parts, right? The parts of you that you're not aware of, they would cease to exist if they didn't act out in some way to try to get your attention. The pain you're experiencing is an inner child acting out. I need your attention. Please, 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 please. I have a gift, right? And if that pain would go away, then that part of you would just cease to exist. And that, we don't want that, right? We want to find our unique brilliance and bring forth our greatest gifts. In fact, this is why we self-sabotage, because it's not what you think you want. Being the real authentic you, that's the golden key. I always say the inner child healing and getting what you really want, which you're just unconscious and you're not aware of, right? It's everything. I believe that's what is the pearl of great price that Jesus spoke about. Okay. Again, I don't care what you're religious. I'm just using that as an example to say it is an inner personal journey of a relationship between you and you. And it does absolutely change everything. And the reason, right, when you don't have a relationship, that stranger that you're asking to marry them, it's like they don't feel safe with you. Back away, get away from me, right? The inner child, the same thing. They don't feel safe with you because they no, you don't understand me. So why would I support you in your vision? Right? Unseen, unheard, and misunderstood. Those are parts of you and me. Okay. So transcending your unconscious needs to easily attract your ideal clients, the money, and your dream life, you need a to-be roadmap. Who am I here to be? Creating that relationship between you and you. Because when you do that, right? Imagine, again, take it back to any relationship in your life. If you have a child, if you have a parent, or any relationship, when you're not trying to create a connection between you and your parent or somebody else, they don't feel safe. They don't feel seen, heard, and understood, and they're not going to cooperate with what you want. So we need to do this with ourselves, because what we do, we make it safe, each of us individually, make it safe for your inner child to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And to do that, we have to make the unconscious conscious. Okay. This is the missing, I'm sharing with you today, the missing link about spiritual awakening and why people struggle with it, right? If we're looking to mom, dad, and something outside of us, it's an unawakened state. This is stage 4, right? As me. Oh, there you go. And this really hit me earlier. I went, as me. I'm being me. Not the version of myself that I think I am, but I'm really clear about me because I've created a healthy, strong relationship, a bond, a connection with my inner child. She is at peace because she's integrated into my awareness, right? So as me, that's what I call the awakened visionary leader, and that's enlightenment. Because when the inner child's at peace, and I call these divine downloads, yes, you're probably right now receiving divine downloads, depending on how level of the work that you've done. But to be enlightened and awakened and be in that state more and more is about this feeling at peace with yourself. When you feel at peace with yourself, then the step that you're taking can be more divinely guided. And your inner child and the aspects of you that have a part in your evolution and in the message that you're here to share with the world is able to freely express. Okay, because again, that part of you feels safe, feels loved, feels understood. Okay, and now you've moved from fear to true faith and belief. And it's moving up these stages. Again, you're not always going to be in stage 4 or stage 3 or stage 2 or stage 1. It's a sliding scale between them. The more grounded and solid you are with your understanding of yourself, the more awakened you are, right? That's why it's a scale, okay? So like anything, it's something we have to really commit to and do over and over again. Right? Because how does trust get built between you and these aspects of yourself, right? If you're going to tell your child today, I really care about you and I want what's best for you, and then tomorrow you ignore them, or for the next week you ignore them, or you maybe go on a trip and don't see them for 6 months. Your inner child's the same way, right? And the challenge, this goes in, Evan, this goes into holding space. The challenge is, and this is why we slide back down, is that the challenge is that safety piece. To hold the space for others means we feel safe. If our inner child doesn't feel safe, it's very difficult to hold the space for somebody else. Because what's really keeping your client from doing the work is that their inner child is repelling what they are doing, and it's sabotaging because they're not helping that part of themselves feel safe. Does that make sense? Okay. And again, I'm talking logically right now. None of what I'm talking about will replace this healing of the emotional mind. It's an emotional process. Transformation is that there's the wounding that takes place when we're children is most often related to a deep pain and anger, sadness, guilt, shame, things that really need to be gently loved and acknowledged. And I can't emphasize enough the gentle piece, right? Not going to force your inner child to feel safe, right? Just like any child, we need to build a relationship, right? Okay, and that's just that's a glimpse of what that looks like. That's a whole nother thing, okay? And it's a deep process that takes time. So, what stage are you in? Because here's the thing: stage 3, if you want the best clients, are going to be in stage 3, right? If it's somebody in the poor me state, they're going to keep blaming you and saying, you did this to me, right? They're not going to really be interested in awakening or being more aware. Stage 2, I've had a lot of clients in that area. And for me, you can see the depth of my work. It doesn't work for me any longer. You can make a good business in stage 2. A lot of people do. Really, it's just for you to evaluate what you most want to do. Because stage 3 is really getting to that place where you love, acknowledge, accept yourself. Again, that mirror, what is broken becomes a whole beautiful, illuminating mirror where you can just see yourself with love, compassion, understanding, right? That's what stage 3 is. It's really your choice, right? And it's a choice we make over and over again to deepen that relationship with ourselves. Okay. Again, I've said this, inner child feels safe. It's your inner peace, right? which is your unique brilliance. Okay. And you're going to have various stages of your businesses as you work through this. I'm giving you the lowdown on spiritual awakening today. Wherever you are is divine and perfect. And the next steps for you are all about your own personal purpose and your own path. Okay. So it's all good again. Okay. And so I love this image when other people are stressing about their lives, but you're at peace because you've learned to trust the process. And I would add, you've learned to create a strong relationship with yourself. Okay. You're at peace. And that's how I felt in 2020 when everybody was taken to the house and made to stay. And I'm like, gosh, I've been like this for 8 years. So this is like nothing for me, right? Because had been going through spiritual awakening and all of this for so long that it's like, oh, I know what's happening. Which is truth for each of us, is that as conscious coaches, you want to be in that place with your clients where you're in a what I call calm, confident conviction, that when they're in crisis mode, that you can hold the space, see through what's happening, and be there for where they are. Doesn't change where you are. You're in a calm, confident conviction, and you're able to help them where they are. Okay, that's the gift of having a conscious coach. Okay. And I already talked about my story. I did have some slides here. So you left the job in tears, did all the work that everybody told me to do, was making money, still having the dark nights of the soul. Yeah. But my mastery from silence to applause, right? The silence I talked about with my dad was really a part of me and who I am. Something was missing and I didn't know what to do, right? So I talked about feeling unseen, unheard, and misunderstood, and the healing of the core wound, right? And the truth is, I had been stuck between stage 1 and stage 2 for a long time. while this is the building of the plane while you're flying it, right? Stage 1, stage 2, we have to do our work there to build stage 3 clarity. Okay. It's the way it works. Again, all is right, all is good. This is what we do to truly awaken. So after over a decade, again, 13 so years, I built and this state system's been coming together as I've gone through the awakening process. So of course we're building the plane while we're flying it, right? Stand Down Shine Magnetic Success Transformation System. I'm kind of like a dog on a bone. If I know that the law of attraction is a thing, I'm going to go. In fact, I'm Mary Morrissey, a life mastery consultant. I'm like, that happened, I don't know, 2012, something like that. Okay, so if I'm going to be a life mastery consultant, then I need to master life. So that's the spiritual awakening or complete awakening system that I'm sharing with you. And then I built, how do you do a to-be roadmap? And what is your own very personalized, unique brilliance blueprint? You have one. Okay. So I'm going to be doing in a couple of weeks. So keep a lookout for that if you've not done it yet. But I'm going to do a awakening with human design class where we go deeper on this topic. But human design is the cornerstone of my work with creating your to-be roadmap and your personalized, unique brilliance blueprint. And I just wanted to share briefly here. So this is my birth chart. If we just look at one example, the conscious sun, and you don't need to know anything about human design. Again, come to the workshop if you want to know more. But one of the aspects, and these numbers here equate to your inner child. Each number puts off an energy as an aspect. Like one aspect of my inner child is conflict resolution. Okay. And so conflict resolution was one of the reasons I ran in the other direction when it came to clients, or my inner child was sabotaging. It's like, I'm afraid, I don't want conflict, because I had seen conflict as bad, when my divine gift is not conflict, but conflict resolution. In order to get to stage 3, I had to experience stage 1 conflict to get to the resolution. Go figure, right? So the transformational work that you're here to do has to do with the transformational energy you have in your human design. Okay. And that's just one example. And it sits up here. This is the symbol for the sun, and the conscious sun is this my 6.5 right here. Okay. And so the unconscious need related to this energy is I find myself doing things to be different, which leaves me feeling alone and isolated from others. Huge, huge unconscious need to be different. Okay. That I live with for much of this journey, but it's like a rocket booster that gets you to the moon or the planet you want to go to. These unconscious needs help me to go really deep to bring you this system and to do my own work, right? At this deep level. So I'm going to leave that for the workshop, but there's lower energy, higher energy, and the way in which the gift of diplomacy, for example, with this particular energy. So yeah, it's a shift from pain to pleasure. How do we get there? How do we recognize the unconscious need? Okay. And so this statement I have is a statement along with 6 others. There's 7 total statements that I have that can help you to narrow down what's driving your pain, what's really happening, and where can you find the energy that's keeping you stuck and self-sabotaging. Okay, what part of your inner child is in pain here, right? Because if we don't know, again, have the relationship with, for example, conflict resolution. If I didn't have that relationship, I didn't do my work in the world, right? You can't do your work in the world. This is a very again, talk about it in the workshop in a couple weeks. The unconscious needs we just talked about, and the need to be different. When I heal that, and hopefully you can see that today, visionary leadership is the gift when you heal it. And all of these unconscious needs have all of these amazing gifts related to them. But it all hinges on that relationship with you and your inner child. Okay. And these are the 7 statements, but I'm not going to go over those. But up here is that I find myself doing things to be different, which leaves me feeling alone and isolated, right? If we're all about, ooh, I'm scared to be different. Here I am attracting conflict. Imagine the little girl in that place not knowing how to handle conflict, pushing her to be more and more alone, more and more isolated, right? This is why the inner child in me needed that healing work. There's something happening with when we have this pain. That's what spiritual awakening really is pointing you to. So hopefully you can see if the dark tunnel becomes lit up in some ways when you have a system that helps you to identify which part of you is needing your love and attention. Stop looking out there. You look to yourself and go, okay, where is it? What is it? And it takes time to build that, right? Rapport with you and you, right? And that is the process. And finally, when you realize needing nothing attracts everything, okay? So the job, the work is to heal these 7 unconscious needs by helping your inner child to feel safe, to truly stand in your life purpose, be the visionary leader, have empowering relationships, feel emotional clarity. I feel joy because I feel joy. I'm not trying to push it. I'm trying to be it, right? I am it. That's better. I'm not trying, I am. And intuitive clarity, divine downloads, having time, money, purpose, all of it, well-being. And finally, expressing your divine message. And then these 7 statements and there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead so I can get to your questions. Go ahead and stop the share or stop the recording here. Hold on just one sec.